if you've crossed the line to addiction, you can no longer use as a normal person. You can never tell yourself, I will go take one beer and go home. One myth people always say, relapse is failure.
Yeah.
For me, relapse is not failure.
Yes.
It is part of the process. So there's those people who believe addiction is just a bad behavior. And that drives people nuts because they are always like, Maggie, why are you supporting this person? They should recover. We should not
They want them to snap out of it.
Snap out of it.
Oh,
Why
it
are you
doesn't
being
work like
stuck
that.
there? Get out. You know, when you say stop, why are you not stopping?
Stopping,
You know?
Watching Mind Pursuit podcast, where families get restored, transformed and healed. 'Cause he never ever lose a battle. He never ever lose a battle. God never ever lose a battle. He never ever lose a battle. You're watching Mind Pursuit podcast, where families get restored, transformed and healed.
What's up, my people? Welcome to the Mind Pursuit podcast. I'm your host, Masin Zuki, the Mind Advocate, and we are continuing with conversations around drugs and substance use. Feel free to ask your question if you have any, and we'll be sure able to address it. So let's continue with this conversation. You've talked to us about how the early signs. How do we prevent going down? You know, it's a slow fit.
Yes.
How do we prevent going into addiction? And for the ones who are already struggling with addiction, how do they navigate? That is where I want us to continue from. Let's talk about the recovery pathway. And I remember you said relapse
Yes.
is part of recovery. Elaborate further. What does that mean?
When I'm asked about relapse as part of recovery, it comes from the point whereby I'd want people to understand when you take someone for treatment, it can be either outpatient, it can be inpatient, there's always the expectation this person will be whole. This person won't go back to substances. But why I mean relapse is part of the process. You remember when we talked about the brain rewiring?
Yes.
There's a possibility that they could go back. And relapse does not mean failure. It is part of the process, and people are able to get themselves up and they are back again on track and they pick themselves. That is what I mean. So if you find yourself, you're on this recovery journey, you've been trying to stop, you've maybe done 3 months, a year, then you sleep, you relapse, because we have a sleep, we have a lapse, we have a relapse, right? You have the capacity to dust yourself, go back and continue with the journey. That is exactly what I mean. It means it's part of that addiction process, and you can get back on yourself, you can go back on your recovery journey. And that is very important to understand, because when you understand relapse as part of the process, you're able to extend yourself grace the moment you find yourself you've gone down, right? Because most times what makes people not get back again, it's the beating you give yourself. You are harsh. You remember the Kaina critic. You're a failure. You've tried this. How many times have you done this and you failed? So instead of going back again, you stay down. Yes.
Oh, wow. And you touched on rewiring of the brain.
Yes.
To somebody who has heard that word for the first time today, how will you simplify it for them?
When we talk about rewiring, and in terms of us recovery,
Yes.
it's whereby you are retraining your brain without the substance. So that means you're teaching your reward system, not with substances, but with the natural reward system. Just like when you get food and you feel happy, you have a conversation with a friend and you're feeling good. That is what you're teaching your brain to now consider as the normal reward pathway.
Oh, thank you so much for that, because that also highlights that we are the master of our brains.
Yes.
It's not the other way around. Wow. So let's take charge,
Yes.
of our brain.
Yes.
Wow. So tell me, what is one myth or fact, about drugs and substance use?
One myth, I'll use the one we've used.
Yes.
Relapse is failure. One myth people always say, relapse is failure.
Yeah.
For me, relapse is not failure.
Yes.
It is part of the process. So when you're working with someone and by any chance they relapse,
Yes.
it is part of the process. It is not failure.
Amazing.
Yes, it's not failure.
You have, I don't know what you've done to somebody who is struggling with addiction by just saying that. I believe you've delivered them for sure. Wow. What does recovery actually look like? Not the way we see it in movies, because of course it's painted in movies, you know,
Yes.
or social media version, but for real, how does recovery look like?
Recovery for me looks like someone who is able to cope in a positive and healthy manner. So this looks like someone who can be able to choose better coping mechanisms. They are able to manage their problems better. They are able to manage their emotions and regulate them better without the use of substance. Because you see, when we are talking about recovery in a way that is healthy, at times people would want to know, how does that look like? Who would that person, if I'm to be shown one person and I say they are recovering, to me, if you're able to do those things and you're able to have the discipline to deal with your craving, because you see, craving at times it looks like a death sentence. It looks like the world is coming to an end, because craving is the strong urge to use. If you're able to navigate it, if you're able to have the discipline, you remember the routines, the structure, and stick to them, to me, I'd say that is a positive recovery.
Wow. Full stop. Period. I like it. What types of rehab or professional support have you seen work best in real situations?
Allow me to answer that question wholesomely by using the word integrated. And I'd want to say integrated help, whereby one, you have intensive assessment. And when we talk about intensive assessment, is being able to assess the severity of that person, the risk, where they are at, everything in whole, coming to their social life, their relationship, and being able to see how best you can support them. So that means you will be able to incorporate different mechanisms where you will work with that person. If it is outpatient, are they able to get detox? And if they are getting detox, can they be able to get the psychological support, whereby they are getting individualized one-on-one sessions, they are getting group therapy, they are getting psychoeducation, they are getting family therapy, they are getting relapse prevention sessions that they can work with. And after that, they can be able to get what we call aftercare and follow-up sessions. To me, that is what I'd say is a whole integrated process, whereby you can be able to work with that person in a great way and be able to see sustainable change.
Wow.
When you come to treatment, and let me use rehab, the challenge is the withdrawal symptoms. And withdrawal symptoms are physical, we have emotional and social. Let's start with the physical. If it's alcohol, there are those who are struggling with the shakes, so they need to be maintained. There are those, they were used to, when I wake up in the morning, I give myself a catin so that I can function. It is no longer there, right? Then there is emotional. Now the substance is removed. You are masking your trauma, you are masking your grief, you are masking your loss, you are masking your identity. Now it is out in the open and you have to deal with it. You have to sit with the difficult emotions, you have to deal with them, right? Then when you talk about social, you are no longer in the place you are used to. It's a different environment. These are new people you are dealing with. These are new people. That is what is the toughest most times, but most people can navigate, and that's why the program there is tailor-made to help people become aware. Among the things that are there that support this, and that's why I talked about integrated sessions, is we have individualized sessions. So you'll have a journey with your counselor. You'll also have group sessions, whereby the group there, the common factor being substance use, they will remind you you are not alone. The challenges you're going through, someone else in that group is also facing them, is also walking that journey, right? Then when it comes to psychoeducation, you are able to understand, this is what my body is going through, this is what I'm feeling emotionally, and you can be equipped with tools to navigate the emotional withdrawal.
Oh, wow. And I like how you've painted it, because I've had people asking me, Mercy, is it a must for me to go to rehab? You know, like they are struggling with addiction, but they're like, can't I just see a therapist and I'm good to go? And I like how you've painted the importance of actually being in a rehabilitation center, so that you can also get to, you know, interact with the people who are equally struggling with navigating drugs and substance use. Yeah, and you're able to normalize that. Unajua,
Yes.
mtu asione yeye ni stranger ama yuko weird,
Yep,
and why or feeling as if they are failing.
Very important.
Wow. Wow. So it's possible to actually navigate the hurdles.
It is very possible, very possible. Because one of the things there, you create a community.
Yes.
You discover you are not the only person
Yeah.
struggling with that substance.
Yeah.
And the challenges vary from one person to the
another.
other, right? And when you discover that community, it makes you feel seen.
Yeah.
It makes you know, if someone else can, I can. It's the creation of what we call hope. You're able to see, there's someone who came a month before me and they're doing well. So I have the capacity even me to do well. I have the ability, and you'll be taught skills that help you navigate through that journey. Yes.
But are there some who come and that hurdle, they were unable to deal with that challenge? Wanasema we hii hawaezi.
And I'll give circumstance of why.
Yeah.
Most people who struggle with navigating that, two things could be happening. One, they don't have insight. And insight is they have not entirely understood how their addiction is affecting them. Two, there's someone who could be struggling with denial. And in denial is whereby they don't think they are having a problem, or if the problem they are having, they are struggling with what we call the negative thought patterns. They are minimizing. It's not that bad. You know, it's like a something small, but in reality, the problem is massive. So when they are coming, they've brought themselves, yes, willingly, but they are coming having minimized. They are coming thinking, you know, mine is not that bad. You know, I'm just protecting, I'm preventing. But in reality, that prevents them. And we've had instances where people come to rehab thinking they can cut down after use. But one thing you will discover, if you've crossed the line to addiction, you can no longer use as a normal person. You can never tell yourself, I will go take one beer and go home. That can never happen. You can never have the discipline of being able to use regularly. If you've struggled with addiction. And the word I'm using is that you're not a social user. A social user can take that 1, 2 and go home. But if you're struggling with addiction, even after you've stopped, it will be very hard for you to take that one and go back home. And at times that's a battle with people who have. You remember when we talked about FOMO? So they are wondering, Magi, unataka mimi nikaange bila kunywa pombe. Na watu huku nje wana interact na pombe. How will I look? You know? Yes. But when you understand, and you remember when I talked about awareness, understanding deeply, how do drugs interact with me? The way they interact with Mercy may not be the same as me. And I said, there's someone who can drink here in, here out, and they will be okay. But there's someone who, when they just touch that alcohol, their life is moved upside down. And the consequences are evident.
Wow. And what is the differentiating factor?
The differentiating factor, I'll put it, I'll use the 3 C's. But the 3 C's being the cravings, control, consequence. For someone who is in addiction, craving is whereby they cannot stop thinking about their drug of choice. The control, they cannot control their use. The consequence, there are evident consequences of their use, either through relationship, through work, through their finances, or through themselves. They have dents they can't explain. They've been hospitalized severally because of their use. Yes.
Oh, wow. Thank you for that, and making that differentiating factor, so that in as much as we said all of us are affected.
Yes.
Yeah, and all of us can struggle with addiction.
Yes.
But then now it's different for everyone. Thank you for pointing that out. Maybe you can highlight to us, how can friends and family provide real support without enabling bad habits?
Thank you.
That's a very good question.
It's a very good question, and it's always one of the toughest.
I know.
How can you support tough love? Simple answer, tough love. How is tough love? Tough love is being able to not fund your use, because at times friends and family have found themselves funding the use. I don't want my relationship with Mercy to end, so I know I'll give Mercy money, but I know Mercy is using that money to use. I know Mercy is engaging in lying, but I don't want to confront Mercy because I don't want to rock the boat of our relationship. Yes. So tough love.
Tough love. And tough love doesn't mean you don't love them.
No. It's the same thing in relationships.
Absolutely.
Do relationships have conflict? Yes.
They do.
And the way we navigate them makes the bond stronger.
Absolutely.
So even when you're showing tough love to people who are struggling in addiction, that is the way you can support them.
Deep. Wow. What are some, and I've asked you about the myths, but what are some myths about recovery that drive people crazy in your line of work? It drives them nuts, crazy.
The first one I'll use is the one I gave, where we said addiction is being a moral lens and health lens.
Yes.
So there's those people who believe addiction is just a bad behavior. And that drives people nuts because they are always like, Maggie, why are you supporting this person? They should recover. We should not
They want them to snap out of it.
Snap out of it.
Oh,
Why
it
are you
doesn't
being
work like
stuck
that.
there? Get out. You know, when you say stop, why are you not stopping? You know? But we remember when we said addiction affects your what? Brain chemistry. So there is someone, even when they want to, they are unable to stop. Even when they love you, when they care about you, and at times you've seen people promise, this is the last time.
I know.
This is the last time I'll not use, but they find themselves still using. Right?
And shame becomes
and that's why when they define addiction, they say the addiction is a chronic disease with the ability of you relapsing. And we've seen examples of chronic diseases. Let me use a simple example: diabetes. If you are diabetic, what happens? The doctor puts you on drugs, different levels. Kuna mtu anapewa tembe, insulin inakuwa controlled. Mwingine anapewa injection, insulin inakuwa controlled. But lazima akue kwa nini? Kwa hii dawa, si ndio? Kuna mwingine anakuwa kwa dawa na diet all the time. So when it comes to addiction, same thing. This person needs to be on something that supports their recovery. Yes. And that's one of the myths most people never, when you tell them, and I'm trying to explain to them, and they're like, Magi unabembeleza huyo mtu. They miss to understand what it is addiction. To them, they think it's just bad behavior. This person is just refusing to quit.
And actually that goes for even mental health as a whole.
People
feel like you need to snap out of it.
Why is stress taking a whole lot on you? It shouldn't. You should deal with your things. You're not the first person to be in a problem. And that's why you'll hear people tell men, why are you crying? Men don't cry. You deal with your things. When in reality, at the end of the day, human being. And that's where complexity of life comes. And that's why we learn to extend grace to others and even to ourselves.
Wow. One thing I love about this podcast is we make it real and we shed light into what mental health is. It is a process.
It is.
You don't just snap out of it.
Never.
It's a journey.
It is a journey.
And same applies with addiction. It's a journey.
It is.
So we need to extend grace.
A lot of it. A lot of it.
Wow. So what can you, and I hear this a lot, by the way, in terms of which is the right rehab for me to go, Mercy, what will fit me. So how can someone figure out which rehabilitation approach or program is right for them?
I'll answer by simply saying a program that integrates the things we have talked about.
Absolutely.
Are they able to offer what we call individualized sessions? Are they able to offer group therapy, psychotherapy, family sessions, relapse prevention skills, aftercare, follow-up, That would be very important. Other than that, what are their treatment approaches? Are they using cognitive behavioral therapy? Are they using motivational interviewing? Are they be able to work with that person wholesomely to understand, even after they leave rehab, there's an environment outside rehab, and that person would need skills that would help them to stay clean. Yes.
Wow.
So when you're doing that, you need to identify. And I always tell people, don't shy to say you wouldn't know. At times you can scout several facilities, see what fits best your needs. Feel free to do that. But you need to have an integrative program. Not only one that you go just stay there simply because detox has done, you're just sitting there outside the environment you're using. You need something that can help you. Remember, during that period you're in rehab, you are helping your brain rewire.
Yes.
Because you remember you are not using your substance, but now you are getting to get to the normal things that give you the reward system. You get? Yes, that is very important.
Oh, wow. So people need to do their research.
They did need to do their research, but above everything else, there's also the individual responsibility to understand, even when a craving comes, I need to have the discipline not to go with it. Is it easy? No. Is it doable? Yes. So I always say, it also depends. Because at times when we talk about change, we talk about change in two levels, right? Intrinsic and extrinsic. I would want change because I've seen Mercy, and let me use an example. I've seen Mercy doing good things, and I'd want to do what Mercy is doing. I'm not doing because I want.
You're doing because I've
seen Mercy. So there are people who would do recovery because my wife told me she'll leave me. My job will end if I don't quit. My parent is on my back. And that's why at times change doesn't become sustainable because I'm doing because of another person. I always advocate, understand, and when you understand how your drug interacts with yourself, you are able to cultivate your motivation towards change. Yes, because also motivation towards change plays a key role towards change in terms of your addiction.
Oh, wow. So why do some people hesitate to ask for help even when they want to quit?
Very important. And I'd want to share this because we are human beings. And as I share this, I'd want to help that person who is struggling to quit and they're unable to quit. Several reasons that make people unable to quit. Starting number one, shame. And what is shame? Shame is the feeling of I'm a bad person. Unlike guilt ni ile mtoto anakula sukari anakutwa na mama yake anasikia vibaya. The behavior is bad. Shame is I'm feeling I'm a bad person. So at times people feel they are bad people. They feel they failed people. Why can't I stop? You know, I'm this, I'm that in the society. Why? The shame. And shame thrives in three environments. Brené Brown states them. Silence, secrecy, and judgment. So the more I sit with my problem, the more I'll judge myself. The more it eats me, the more worse it gets. Right? Then the second reason why people don't seek support, fear of judgment. What will people say? My family's reputation. You know, which lens will people start seeing me? Maybe you are looking at me as a professional. Now you stop looking at me as a professional, you look at me as an addict. When in reality, there's a difference between what I'm struggling with and the person I am. The other reason people struggle with asking for help, the consequences. Remember, every decision, every behavior comes with its own set of consequences. Maybe when I say I am an addict and struggling, some people will cut me off. Maybe I'll be let loose by my family. My mother will be like, I don't want to be associated with someone who uses. And we've seen people being let go. We've seen people fired even in workplaces because of their use. So there are people who don't come out because of those consequences. Yes.
Wow. So what encouragement would you give someone sitting at the edge, afraid to start their recovery journey?
Someone sitting at the edge and they're feeling they don't want to they don't know where to
They're
start,
afraid,
I want to throw them a lifeline. And I want to tell them I see them. I want to tell them I can't imagine how difficult it is for them. I don't know what they are going through. I can't imagine, but I'm throwing a lifeline. And this is the one time I want to let them know I see them and they have the room to ask for help, and help is available. And one thing as they do that, I'd want them to extend grace to themselves. I want them to remind themselves that they are human. I want to remind themselves that they are important and they matter.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. I believe a young person has been touched out there, and maybe you will share your number for a young person who wants to start. And I like how you've put it, like you've extended grace to them. And maybe you're a young person and you're looking at Maggie and you're like, she looks young. Huyu anaweza elewa vibes zangu, you know. Now is the time for you to be able to reach out, because all we want for you here in the Mind Pursuit podcast is for you to thrive and become the best version of yourself. So if you're struggling with addiction, that could hinder you from becoming the best version of yourself, you need to seek support, and seek it now. So feel free to share your number once again for anyone who's watching.
So before I share my number, my simple question is, have you followed this podcast? If you have not, unangoja nini? Unangoja nini? So while you're doing that, my number is 0701 383 432, and they'll share my socials down there. You can follow me on all my platforms and get the help that you need.
Wow, I hope you've learned a lot. Remember to subscribe, share, tell a friend to tell a friend, and we will see you on the next one. Bye.